Hello, everybody. It is Thursday, the 16th of April. Time is flying, and I hope that this finds you well, keeping safe and keeping well. It's time for our thought for the day again, and I have news for you. Did you know that you are a theologian? It doesn't matter who you are or where you are a theologian. Oh, some of you may have more knowledge than others. Some of your theology may be more accurate than others. Some of you may be more passionate about your theology than others, and some are definitely more learned than others. But friends, every one of us is a theologian. Now, why do I say that? Well, it's really quite simple. Theology is basically just a fancy word for knowledge of God. That is literally what it means. Knowledge or a view of God. And no matter who we are, whether we even believe in God or not, we all have a view or we all have a certain knowledge about God. Even atheists have a belief about God. Even the demons themselves that we met in the Bible, even they, for example, knew who the Son of God was. So, in a very basic sense, yes, you are a theologian. So, I need to ask you then, how is your knowledge or your view of God? We all have a greater or a lesser knowledge or view of God. So what's your knowledge of God like? Now, I'm not talking of the bricks and mortar, the everyday knowledge of God that everybody can have. You know, we can all know our Bibles without knowing God. We can all know the facts, the figures, the chapters and the verses. But what I'm talking about is how is your personal, your experiential knowledge of God? Most people, friends, want a God, or they want God to fit in with themselves and what they want or what they like. They want a God who will allow them to do this or to do that or to do the other. And in that sense, they want a God in their own image, a God of their own making. Well, my friends, I think we all know that a God in our image is an idol. That's the wrong way around. We shouldn't be trying to make God fit in with us. We shouldn't be trying to make God in the way that we like. We are not making God in our image. We are made in the image of God. And that's the correct way around. Now, I want to remind you of another story from the Old Testament, from the story of Moses. Going back to Exodus 33 for a minute, I'll read the verse in just a second. But just to put the passage in context, Moses has just been told by the Lord, he's had a bit more of the Lord's plan revealed to him. And Moses has been told that not only was he to take the children out of Egypt, which he's done, he's now being told that he has to lead them on towards the promised land, towards Canaan. He never actually got to enter the promised land, but he was to lead the children of Israel to the very threshold of entrance into the land of milk and honey. Now, this challenged Moses somewhat. And when he had the realization of the enormity of what he was about to do dawn on him, he turned to the Lord and he says, and he asked him actually in Exodus 33 and verse 13, having just been told what he had to do, he says, now therefore, he's talking to God, he says, now therefore I pray, if I have found grace in your sight, show me now your way, that I may know you. Show me your way, that I may know you. That's what Moses asks of the Lord. And that tells us a very simple but a very important truth, friends. Because Moses didn't want to know a God of his own making or his own imagination, a God that had been manufactured in his own mind. No, he wanted a God, the God, that revealed himself to Moses. He wanted God to show him the Lord's way, not his own way. And friends, to know God properly, we must ask God to show us what he is like and to show us his way. When he shows us his way, we have then got, as his followers, as the phrase suggests, if we're going to follow, we have to know the way that we have to go. So we don't want to follow in our own way. We want to follow in the Lord's way. That's what Moses wanted. That's what Moses requested when he was leading the people towards Canaan. He could have led them off on his own way, but that wasn't the deal. That wasn't what he was prepared to do. He was only prepared to do things in the Lord's way. And when he did things in the Lord's way, he then realizes that that's the way that he can get to know God. So friends, those of us especially who are believers, who are followers of the Lord Jesus Christ, of the Lord himself, we want to be able to follow God in the correct way, not in our own way. And that's where the difficulty arises. That's where the tension is. That's where the friction happens. So we have to surrender ourselves and go from our path to God's path, no matter what. It's easy to follow the Lord when things are going well, when things are going in the direction that we want. It's easy to follow the Lord when his will and our will are aligned. But friends, to be true followers, we have to follow the Lord through thick and thin, no matter what happens and in all circumstances. And of course, he'll give us the ability and the strength to do that. So, if you're having difficulty in that regard, perhaps you know what you believe the Lord wants you to do, but you're having difficulty in putting that into practice. Well, maybe you just need to pray that prayer and ask the Lord to give you the strength to show you his way and then to enable you to walk in that way. It's a true saying, friends. One of the reasons why the Lord Jesus Christ had so few disciples was because following him wasn't a picnic. It usually leads to difficulties, to trials, and to persecution. He didn't promise us a life of ease, but he promised us that no matter what we go through for him, it is well worth it, because at the end we will be amply rewarded for our obedience and our diligence in following him. So let's not give up at the first difficulty. Let's persevere. Let's follow the Lord. He knows best. He'll never lead us astray. And his will, although sometimes we don't understand it, his will always be for the best. Think on these things, friends. And as you do that, remember to keep praying, keep washing your hands, keep looking up, and the Lord bless you and keep you safe until we have another one of these wee chats again soon. Bye for now.